can I please move on to the north side of town for a moment?
Well, we were there already. Is there
Yeah,
anything more to say?
there's a little bit, but yeah,
Okay, what do you got?
touche though. There's not much, but I would like to talk a little bit at least. At least
All
stop
right.
you from blathering longer about the fucking White Sox. Jeez.
Oh, wait. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, the Cubs did just win a series up in Minnesota of all places.
Hey, well, you look at there, eh?
Triple A team beating a quadruple A team. I don't know what that is, but a lot of power shown. Apparently, you can hit home runs up in Minnesota these days. Ian Happ finally coming back to life. Could have used your home runs and power resurgence a little bit earlier this season rather than in meaningless games in end of August and September. But thanks for showing up, Ian. Nice to see them win a series. I didn't expect them to win anything here and out. It kind of hurts their draft prospects going forward. I'd rather see them lose to get up higher. They're solidly in the top 10 draft picks for next year. That kind of should be their priority, trying to tank the rest of these games just so they can get a higher draft pick going into next year. So but thinking about next year and the years forward, I kind of touched on this a little bit last week when it was noted that Nick Castellanos, former Cubs cult hero for 2 months, would be opting out of his 4-year, $64 million deal with the Reds next year in this offseason. And he would be a free agent opportunity that I think the Cubs would be very smart to capitalize on for several reasons. Number one is
go ahead.
The dude's hitting, over 300. His OPS this year is like over 900. I felt like there's the Cubs had enough outfielders to not necessarily have to sign him after they traded for him. At the time, obviously that is not an issue now. The Cubs need everything at every position. So I think Castellanos makes a lot of sense going forward. But the other thing I looked at after we did that segment last week is really what's the Cubs' financial situation. We know they're going to sign free agents of some sort. Their plan has to be to sign somebody, to get somebody to show up to tune into Marquee Network next year, or to show up to Wrigley Field next year, because there's not a whole lot of reasons on the roster right now to do that. So I think we can safely assume we're gonna get hopefully a couple marquee names that you might recognize.
Well, I hope there's some marquee names since they're on the Marquee Network.
Yeah, thank you. So I took a look at what the Cubs payroll currently is going into 2022, and literally they are only on the line on the hook for $44 million next year. That is the money they have committed to contracts going forward. I'm not quite sure how arbitration. What's that?
Just real quick, if it's 44 million, that means Hayward's half of what they owe people.
Exactly.
Wow, what a deal.
Yeah, awesome. Regardless, that's a minuscule amount of money considering right now the luxury tax threshold is $210 million. I don't know the minutia, and I'm not going to get into it, but the arbitration, how that should play out or may not play out over the offseason. I think we can say they're going to have to add a little bit to that $44 million after arbitration cases go through. So let's just say they have $60 million total committed for 2022. At least $150 million before they get to luxury tax threshold for 2022. So I think we can safely say that there's a lot of reasons and a lot of opportunity for the Cubs to be looking at major free agents this offseason and off seasons to come. And that's one point I want to make is Cubs don't have to get it all back this offseason. They don't have to sign 10 marquee names or anything like that. I don't think anyone thinks they're going to contend next year. Even the most diehard Cubs fans have to be a little bit realistic and say you can't build from basically zero where they're at now to 100 in one off season. So I think the prudent move would be to build over at least the next 2 years. And hopefully some of the myriad prospects that they've traded for in the last month will show themselves to be major league players. We'll see if that plays out or not, but I would hope there'd be one or two of the 16 or so they've accumulated. So those needs will emerge. But I looked at the free agent class for next year, and obviously Nick Castellanos is number one on the list, but the 2022 free agent class is most noted for its shortstops. And, I want Carlos Correa to go to my Tigers, of course. So I don't know how those things are going to play out, but I think a cool fit that might intrigue people would be Corey Seager, of course, from the Dodgers. Beyond that, the pitching class is pretty interesting. I don't know how many of these will actually reach free agency, but Clayton Kershaw could be a free agent. Max Scherzer, of course, who was traded to the Dodgers. Beyond that, you have Robbie Ray, which he might be your Cy Young Award winner this year. The guy we brought him up last week.
I think he has the best stats.
The guy that no one,
the
guy that no one's ever heard of. I mean, we knew him, and he used to be a Tiger. This is the only reason I knew him. But he is just dominating in Toronto.
Yeah.
Just incredible strikeout numbers. So it's him and Garrett Cole. It almost seems now that Lance Lynn has kind of bowed out of the Cy Young race. The other interesting name that could emerge is Carlos Rodon, which I don't know what the Sox plans necessarily are, and I'm not sure what his value has done, considering where he started this year and then where he skyrocketed to at one point, and then as the injury concerns or whatever, or if you think this might be a flash in the pan, what his value is. But that's another interesting thing. So I think what I'd like to see the Cubs do in this offseason is sign 2 position players of note and 2 pitchers of note. And there's a lot of opportunity out there.
I could tell you the Carlos Rodon signing's a true reality for you, because he already said he really doesn't want to leave Chicago.
The city of Chicago.
The city of Chicago.
That's interesting.
Not I probably wouldn't want to leave the White Sox either, but I think the thing with the White Sox is, I think next year is Kopech's year to move into that 5th spot.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 through 4 are, well,
yeah, that decision might be made for him, basically. If
the only
not coming to the South Side or not.
If there's some way they could move Keuchel somewhere, would change this conversation, but
yeah,
probably not. So,
well, basically, I spelled out. I want the two pitchers. I mean, this is a lot to want, but I want 2 starting pitchers and 2 position players. But fucking A, just like I spelled out, they've got the potential to do this. They have the money and they have the motivation to do it. They need to get back in contention as fast as they can. So
did you do a letter to Jed, like a letter to Santa, and tell him exactly what you wanted? That's Ryan.
That's part of my off-season plan.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll work on that. That'll be a podcast, maybe in maybe episode 85 or so.
We'll
get to that.
Okay, cool.
So in 2023, I took a look at the free agents to be, and there's a few that you might recognize. The first one would be one Jacob Degram, which is an interesting one from a team that we are definitely going to be talking about in a bit. But he looked like the greatest pitcher of all time. Earlier this year, he has subsequently run into some arm issues, which could have been rather predictable considering his average fastball is over 100 miles an hour, it seemed like. So that could be a questionable one. But another arm that will be out on the market is a name familiar to you, one Chris Sale. I was wondering what White Sox fans would think if Chris Sale eventually ended up on the north side, if that would be would be hilarious, if you would have no issues with that, or if that would be a bone of contention, considering the way he exited. It's probably more funny than anything. I don't know if
I could actually. Honestly, I wouldn't even think he's been gone so long. Like, he's whatever. It's not like he won a World Series with us or something. So
It's
there's
true.
not like a special place in my heart for him. He was a great pitcher. He actually obviously has some head issues. So like best whatever. I wouldn't
I
mind
haven't
watching him
been.
pitch. I wouldn't mind watching him pitch on the north side. I mean, he's been pitching great for Boston so far. So
Well, he's
yeah,
coming back from Tommy John surgery, so we'll
yeah.
see. We'll see how that plays out. But he'll have a whole year to prove his worth next season. But the other huge name that could it's really gonna change maybe some teams' calculus on this whole shortstop free agency thing this offseason is Trey Turner is going to be a free agent after next year. And that might be the player that people could want more than a Corey Seager or a Carlos Correa or Javi Baez or those type of players. So there's some interesting names I think that are coming out there. I guess